Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, Text 33. Before we begin, today is Madhavendra Puri's disappearance day. Madhavendra Puri was the spiritual master of Ishvara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very exalted personality. It was he who brought into our line the mood of Madhurya, the love between Radha and Krishna. Yes, sorry?
Ishwar Puri ji?
Madhavendra Puri's disappearance day today. He was the spiritual master of Ishvara Puri. And he was the one who put the seed of this Madhurya in our line. Before that, Radha and Krishna were not worshipped together. But with him the seed began. And then, of course, Lord Chaitanya, he openly declared. Yeah. So very exalted personality. He's the one who established the Gopal deity on Govardhan. And then the first Annakut ceremony, he also performed the Annakutta ceremony there. Because the Gopal deity appeared to him and said, I've been buried in the ground and I'm feeling so hot. Kindly, re-establish my worship. And Madhavendra Puri established that worship again. And then Gopal also came to him in his dream and said, I'm feeling so hot, please get me sandalwood. And that time Madhavendra Puri went to Jagannath Puri to get sandalwood with a lot of difficulty. Nowadays we just, take airplanes or trains or whatever. That time he had to go by foot and there was restrictions crossing one state to another. And on the way then he went to this Remuna temple of Gopinath, where Gopinath stole for him the pot of kheer. And then that Gopinath is still till today called Kheer Chor Gopinath because he stole the kheer for Madhavendra Puri. Then, of course, Madhavendra Puri, he went to Jagannath Puri, got the sandalwood. On the way back, Gopal came to him in the dream and said, it's okay, I'm the same as Gopinath. You can put the sandalwood on Gopinath. And that's what he did. They applied for many days the sandalwood on Gopinath. So we'll continue with where we are with King Vena. Ko Venam Parichakshita.
Ko Venam Parichakshita.
Venam Ekam Rite Shubham.
Venam Ekam Rite Ashubham.
Prapta Idrisham Aishwaryam.
Praptam Idrisham Aishwaryam.
Yat Anugraha Bhajanaha.
Yat Anugraha Bhajanaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. But for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence. When human society individually or collectively becomes godless and blasphemes the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is certainly destined for ruination. Such a civilization invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not appreciating the mercy of the Lord. So that's what we are facing right now. We have forgotten God. Our society is still so far away from God. We are not able to appreciate the existence of the Supreme Lord, and we are not able to appreciate the mercy of the Supreme Lord and what He's doing for us. And instead, what do is simply blaspheme Him, blame Him, fault find Him. And that's the reason the current affairs are as they are. Itham vyavasita hantum
इत्थं व्यवस्थिता हन्तुम्
ऋषयो रुद्धमन्यवः
ऋषयो रूढः मन्यवः
निजग्नुर्हुङ्कृतेर्वेनम्
निजग्नुः कृते वेनम्
अतम् अच्युतनिन्दया.
हतम् अच्युतनिन्दया.
Great sages, thus manifesting their covert anger, immediately decided to kill the king. King Vena was already as good as dead due to his blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, without using any weapons, the sages killed King Vena simply by high-sounding words. Yeah, they were angry. They said, "We are going to kill the king," and they just simply killed him. They had so much power. They were so angry that here Vena is directly saying that he's God. And the sages, they're like, "Oh my God, how can you say you're God? Only God is God. You're blaspheming the Supreme Lord. You're blaspheming the existence of the Supreme Lord." Rishibi Swashramapadam
Shibi Swasramapadam
पदम्
Gate Putra Kalevaram
गते पुत्रा कलेवरम्
Sunitha Palayam Asha
सुनीता पालयाम् आस
Vidya Yogena Shochati.
विद्या योगेन शोचति.
After all the sages returned to their respective hermitages, the mother of King Vena, Sunita, became very much aggrieved because of her son's death. She decided to preserve the dead body of her son by the application of certain ingredients and by chanting mantras, mantra yogena. So we can see even like how we know that the mummies, the Egyptian kings, their bodies were preserved, by applying certain medicines and that. Ekada munayasте tu
एकदा मुनयस्ते तु
sarasvat salila plutaha
सरस्वत्सलील आप्लुता
Hodvagnin Satkathaschakrur
भूत्वा अग्निं सत्कथाश्चक्रुः
Upavishta Sarittate.
उपवृष्टा सरित्तटे.
Once upon a time, the same saintly persons, after taking their bath in the river Saraswati, began to perform their daily duties by offering oblations into the sacrificial fires. After this, sitting on the bank of the river, they began to talk about the transcendental person and his pastimes. Vikshayothitam stadotpata
वीक्षयो उत्थान्तद उत्पातान्
ahurloka bhayankaran
आहुर्लोका भयङ्करान्
api abhadram anathaya
अपि अभद्रम् अनाथाय
dasyubhyo na bhavet bhuvaha.
दस्युभ्यो नो भवेद् भुवः.
In those days, there were various disturbances in the country that were creating a panic in society. Therefore, all the sages began to talk amongst themselves. Since the king is dead and there is no protector in the world, misfortune may befall the people in general on account of rogues and thieves. Whenever there is a disturbance in the state or a panic situation, the property and lives of the citizens become unsafe. This is caused by the uprising of various thieves and rogues. At such a time, it is to be understood that the ruler or the government is dead. All of these misfortunes happened due to the death of King Vena. Thus, the saintly persons became very anxious for the safety of the people in general. The conclusion is that even though saintly persons have no business in political affairs, they are always compassionate upon the people in general. Thus, even though they are always aloof from society, out of mercy and compassion, they consider how the citizens can peacefully execute their rituals and follow the rules and regulations of Varna Sharma Dharma. So this is the heart of the devotee, the heart of the sage. They are very soft-hearted. They want everyone's welfare. The brahmanas, the sages, they want to see that everyone is well taken care of. That was the concern of the sages. In this age of Kali, everything is disturbed. Therefore, saintly persons should take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as recommended in the Shastras. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Naste, Vanaste, Vanaste, Vagatir Anyatha. Both for spiritual and material prosperity, everyone should devotedly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So it's repeated 3 times. Kalau naste eva, naste eva, naste eva. There's no other way, no other way, no other way. Except Hare Nama. Hare Nama eva kevalam. For both spiritual and material prosperity. Everything can be gotten. And this is proclaimed in the Shastras for us, for this age of Kali. The Caitaniya Caritamita says, Kali Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. Kali Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. So if we at all want to be religious, we want to, follow the principles of religion in this age of Kali, we are recommended to chant the holy name. Evam Rishanta Rasayo.
Evam rishantayo rishiyo.
Dhavatam Sarvato Disham.
Dhavatam sarvato disham.
Pamsu Samuthito Bhuris.
Pamsu samoditah bhuresh.
Choranam Abhilumpatam.
Choranam abhilupatam.
When the great sages were carrying on the discussion in this way, they saw a dust storm arising from all directions. This storm was caused by the running of thieves and rogues who were engaged in plundering the citizens. Thieves and rogues simply await some political upset in order to take the opportunity to plunder the people in general. To keep thieves and rogues inactive in their profession, a strong government is always required. Tat upadravam agyaya.
Tat upadravam agyaya.
Lokasya vasulumpatam.
Lokasya vasulumpatam.
Bhartari uparate tasmin.
Bhartari uparate tasmin.
Anyonyam cha jigam satam.
Anyoyanam cha jigamsatam.
Chora prayam jana padam.
Chora prayam janapadam.
Hina sattvam arajakam.
Hina sattvam arajakam.
Lokanna varayan chakta.
Lokan avarayam shakta.
Apita dosha darshinaha.
Apita dosha darshanaha.
Upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly persons could understand that there were a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, there was a great uprising of murderous thieves and rogues who were plundering the riches of the people in general. Although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers, just as they could kill the king, they considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. The saintly persons and great sages killed King Vena out of emergency, but they did not choose to take part in the government in order to subdue the uprising of thieves and rogues, which took place after the death of King Vena. So it's not their duty to handle the government or government affairs. Sure, first they put Vena on the throne because it was an emergency. Then again they killed him because it was an emergency. But it's not their like a duty for them to do it. So now they don't want to immediately, you know, again handle the thieves and rogues. It is not the duty of Brahmanas and saintly persons to kill, although they may sometimes do so in the case of an emergency. They could kill all the thieves and rogues by the prowess of their mantras, but they thought it the duty of Kshatriya kings to do so. Thus, they reluctantly did not take part in the killing business. Brahmana samadrikshanto
Brahmana samadrikshanto
deenanam samupekshaha
deenanam samupekshakah
sravate brahma tasyapi
sarvate brahma tasya api
भिन्ना भान्दात पयो यथा.
भिन्न भाण्डात् पयो यथा.
The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he's equal to everyone, it's still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally unaware of the happenings within the material world because they're always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. So that is the mood of the Brahmana. They're not very much concerned about Gramya Katha, what the gossip is happening or what the current events are. Their focus is spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. So we can see that they're not hard-hearted. When we artificially renounce or when we artificially when we renounce, we may become hard-hearted. But the sages are not hard-hearted. Although they are not materially involved, they are engaged in spiritual advancement, but they're very empathetic, towards the the situation of everyone in general. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Now, wow, this is the thing. Now, why do they do it? Because otherwise their spiritual knowledge will go away. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit. But Prahlad Maharaj said that he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Lord Nishingadev was asking Prahlad, you ask me the boon, what you want. Prahlad said, I'm not a businessman. I don't want anything from you. I just engage in devotional service out of my love for you. I don't want anything. Prahlad Maharaj said, no, you still love. Nishingadev said, no, you still ask me. So he says, deliver my father. He said, what, your father? Your 14 generations before and after are already liberated. Prahlad Maharaj said that he wants everyone to be liberated, not only himself. He wants everyone. That was the mood of Vasudev Datta also. And that's why Lord Chaitanya said, Vasudev Datta can sell me anywhere. I'm sold to Vasudev Datta. I'm the slave of Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta was telling to Lord Chaitanya that if I can take the sufferings of everyone and I remain in hell and everyone can go back home, then I want that. Let everyone be delivered and let me suffer for all their sinful reactions. Some say that Vasudev Datta is the incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. In the elevated condition, the Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, namely Brahmana Pandit and Brahmana Vaishnav. A qualified Brahmana is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnav. Unless one becomes a Vaishnav, One's perfection of Brahminical culture is incomplete. So Prabhupada is explaining to us that a Vaishnava is always a Brahman. Vaishnava is a higher position than just being a Brahmana, because a Brahman may be very learned, he may be knowing how to recite the Vedic mantras and do all the sacrifices, but he may not understand that the Supreme Lord, he's a person. And when he's able to understand that he's a person, he becomes a Vaishnava. That understanding, he becomes a Vaishnava. The saintly persons considered very wisely that although King Vena was very sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruv Maharaj. Therefore, the semen in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kesha. As such, the sages wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation. For want of a king, everything was being disturbed and turned topsy-turvy. So now they're thinking, okay, Vena, although he was cruel, but still he's coming in the family of Dhruv Maharaj, Nangasya Vamsho Rajarushe
न अङ्गस्य वंशो राजऋषे
Esha Samsthatum Arhati.
एषं संस्थातुम् अर्हति
Amoga Virya Hi Nripa
अमोघवीर्या हि नृपा
Vamshe Asmin Keshavashrayah.
वंशे अस्मिन् केशवाश्रयः
The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly king Anga should not be stopped. For in this family, the semen was very powerful, and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. It's a great lineage, after all, the sages are considering. The purity of hereditary succession is called Amogha Virya, purity of hereditary succession. The pious seminal succession in the twice-born families of the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas especially, as well as in the families of Vaishyas also, must be kept very pure by the observation of the purificatory processes beginning with Garbhadan Samskar, which is observed before conceiving a child. Garbhadan Samskar is where the to-be father and mother, they chant the holy names of the Lord before they actually come together to conceive a child, so that they can attract a good soul, a devotee. Unless this purificatory process is strictly observed, especially by the Brahmanas, the family descendants become impure, and gradually sinful activities become visible in the family. Maharaj Anga was very pure because of the purification of semen in the family of Maharaj Dhruv. So this is like, they're coming from a great family, from father to son, from father to son. It's being preserved. However, his semen became contaminated in association with his wife Sunita, who happened to be the daughter of death personified. Because of this polluted semen, King Vena was produced. This was a catastrophe in the family of Dhruv Maharaj. All the saintly persons and sages considered this point, and they decided to take action in this matter as described in the following verses. Vinishchityevam rishayo
विनिश्चित्य एवं ऋषयो
vipanasya mahipate
विपनस्य महीपते
mantur urum tarasa
ममन्थु उरुं तरसा
tatrasid bahuko naraha.
तत्र आसीत् बाहुक नरः
After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Okay, so now That a person was born by the churning of the thighs of King Vena proves that the spirit soul is individual and separate from the body. The great sages and saintly persons could beget another person from the body of the dead King Vena, but it was not possible for them to bring King Vena back to life. So Vena is dead already. His soul has already passed on to another place. But they have so much power from the dead body, they are able to produce another living entity. They have that kind of spiritual power. King Vena was gone and certainly had taken another body. The saintly persons and sages were only concerned with the body of Vena because it was a result of the seminal succession of the family of Maharaj Dhruv. So why they are giving so much importance to the body of King Vena? Because they are saying that Dhruv Maharaj, such a great devotee, pure devotee, such a great lineage is coming. King Anga was a pure devotee, and it's only that his wife Sunita was the daughter of death personified. But still, so they wanted a successor coming from this body of Vena. Consequently, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in the body of King Vena by a certain process, and the thighs of the dead body were churned. Another body came out. Although dead, the body of King Vena was preserved by drugs and by mantras chanted by King Vena's mother. In this way, the ingredients for the production of another body were there. When the body of the person named Bahuka came out of the dead body of King Vena, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. For us, it may seem very astonishing, no? I mean, where do we hear that from one dead body you can produce another living person? But here the sages are able to do it. From the semen of one body, another body is produced, and the life symptoms are visible due to the souls taking shelter of this body. So the important point is because King Vena's body was preserved. It was preserved, his semen is still there. And so that's how there is another soul that can come into another body which is being produced from his body. So we can see it's the soul actually. It's the soul. There's another soul coming into this dwarf-like person's body, Mahuka. One should not think that it was impossible for another body to come out of the dead body of Maharaj Vena. This was performed by the skillful action of the sages. Does anyone want to comment or anything on this?
It just shows so much power, or like what all knowledge was there at that time. So much knowledge, and like in the situations, they would pray, and then the solutions were given.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. That's why I know they're like, because they're brahmanas, they're sages, so their intelligence is very clear, clear intelligence. Just read maybe one more. Kaka Krishna Athir Rasvango
Kaka Krishno Atihasva Ango
Harsva Bahur Mahahano
Hasva Bahur Mahahanu
Rasva Pan Nimna Nasagro
Hasvapat Nimna Nasagro
Takshastamra Murdajaha.
Rakt Akshatamra Murdajaha.
This person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as a crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short, his arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper-colored. So we'll stop here, then we can continue tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.